For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello and welcome to episode 118 of That's a Shame. My name is Declan, and sat opposite me back in the
Give me a
orthodox
compliment.
recording space with the ad-libbing Detlev that he is, the musical maestro,
Yes,
Isaac Bernier Doyle.
that's what they call me. Thank you for the welcome back. I feel very appreciated.
That's good.
We need to make That's a Shame a more social experience, I think, because there was an hour, I didn't tell you about this, but after I went to see Company the other day, which is in London's West End, and if you're in the UK or Europe or on Jesus' great big ball earth, then you need to go and see it. Very excellent. I was walking home and I thought, pack the show in.
Right.
That was the end of that bit. But
Okay.
what convinced me to not pack it in was the idea that we can expand into a social movement.
Was it the only reason you didn't because I had said maybe 4 episodes ago that one day you will just
I didn't want
decide
to be too much of a
to pack it in?
I don't know what it was. Something came over me. I felt like running to a different life. And then I came home to find that you'd been discussing that.
Yeah,
with
I'd
my
been
girlfriend.
discussing just that, yeah. Isaac's
Right.
girlfriend is conducting a poll to see who's madder, her or indeed him.
And so far the results
are
have been skewed
conclusively
by the
Isaac.
fact that all the people involved are, in their own ways, problems.
But
Can't recognise super sanity when it's staring them in the eye.
when it's telling them daily, weekly that it is genuinely super sane. But I was quite tired after a day of work, and I was kind of doing a crossword while this conversation was going on. I don't know what sort of mood I was in. It was quite weird. I was just sort of perched on our armchair quite silently.
Maybe a wistful mood.
Yeah, maybe. But it meant that I didn't quite pick up necessarily on the tone of the conversation, or indeed remember that I was talking to Isaac's girlfriend, the love of his life, and she, him, the love of hers. And I just blurted out that I had always assumed since about the 3rd or 4th day that I'd known him that one day Isaac would simply disappear from all of our lives, that there would just come a day where it wouldn't be a big thing. There'd be no fanfare.
None.
It wouldn't take.
There won't be trumpets.
He'd take Elmo with him.
Yeah.
But that's probably about it.
I take my water jug
The little water jug. Probably at least one of his lip balms.
Oh, God.
And maybe Google can come with him.
Yeah. Not the concept.
No.
He means my Google Mini.
But that would be it, and he'd be gone. And I said, what would make it worse is that obviously he's not going to change anything else about him. He's not going to change his name. He's not going to change his appearance or his style. He's probably not going to move very far. He doesn't like change. So you would absolutely bump into him again, and he would... I was going to say he would pretend to have no memory or knowledge of you, but I also realise now that he'd do that thing that he talked about where, it just starts again. You just start again in your head.
The ultimate reset.
Yeah, and so you
just
assume,
auto-obliviation.
Yeah, and so he just simply would not recognise you.
Where does this come from, this attachment issue? Because, yeah, sure, I'm
you
backing
did
up
just
by
say
saying
that, yeah.
I did have the thought that seeing such a great work of art made me think I need to, reevaluate my entire life. Mm-hmm. But before that, I don't think there've been any signs of... I'm not a flighty person by nature.
No, but that's why I said it wouldn't be a flight. It would just be a transition. I think my girlfriend said, it'll all get too much and it'll just sort of pop, burst or something. And I said that, no, it would be more like just a dissipation.
Like there wasn't enough.
Just become...
like when Sirius goes behind the curtain.
Exactly. He'd just become gas and just float out of all of the,
that's weird,
the doors
isn't it?
at once.
I wonder, because there's a lineage of people thinking a similar thing, and I haven't done that. So,
No.
But it is interesting to note that a few people have identified it as... Anyway, it's just one of those things, I guess. Welcome back to another episode of That's a Shame. In this episode, we're going to be... You're right, it's a Wednesday-ish, so we drew a feature, and the feature we've decided to proffer
is an oldie, a goodie.
Yeah,
the
a
OG.
classic. It's really the feature upon which we lay our hats.
Ding dong. You've got post.
That's right. It's an all mailbag, shame mail, spectacular spooktacular.
Wow.
Because we've, over the course of
Do you feel as though you're maybe undermining the spooktacular by saying that this is a mailbag Are you saying it's going to be on par?
No, what I'm doing is I'm defining it in opposition. So when people listen to this one and they're like, could have taken or left that one, they'll be like, but the spooktacular, that's where it was.
Okay.
And maybe they'll go back to that and submit us to various podcast awards that I've weirdly not had any emails
seen
from.
a lot from them. I assume they were coming directly to your...
Yeah, well, a lot of it is based on listener submission. So, I mean, I know that
so it's not
the people
our
out
fault.
there are doing their best and putting us out there. It's probably a bias in the system. Because we're underdogs, we're maverick at our core.
Do you think it's a bold approach we've taken to a very apparent downward trend in the listenership and in the downloads?
Yeah.
To double down on our superiority and quality and just assume that it's, a moral defect on the part of the listener that they're not staying.
There's no accounting for taste.
No.
Sure. But then there's also no saving those who would stray so far from the light.
I am interested in the sort of listener who stuck with us through Blocks Proj, but then was like, nah, after that, an episode where we asked the spirits again, they were like,
oh, fuck this,
done.
Derivative. Like, if that trend continues, the only thing that will happen is you'll get more spooky episodes, and that'll be on you. So think about it.
Isaac, primed and ready with the pitch shift.
God, you better believe it, if my computer lasts even one more day. But we've got a collection of mail, because basically from doing those episodes, the Blocks Proj, we've been behind on mail. We've been like a couple of weeks behind addressing stuff for a while.
And then we didn't have any for ages. And then we got loads, but we were doing other stuff, so we didn't read it.
So apologies if you've got in touch without replies. I don't know if it's traditional, and I assume it's not, when you email in for us to be like, we got your email, because, it's email. Like, obviously we did.
Yeah, I always find it kind of weird, because from the very first time that we got an email...
Oh, crazy days.
I've never thought that it would be the etiquette that we would reply. I always assumed it would be we'd read it out on air and that would be our reply.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a bit of a waste to get back to you.
We could just start reading out our replies on air, because that's like kind of double fun.
Yeah, you think?
No, it's worse.
Oh, sorry.
It's half as fun.
There we go.
We're going to start with an email that came to us all the way back a month ago today.
Wow.
The 15th of October, 2018.
Of course.
You remember it? What were you doing on that?
Probably like I am today, struggling.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Good, yeah. And it was 4:10, so struggle o'clock.
In the afternoon?
For sure, the afternoon. This email is entitled On Spooks and Spirits, and astute listeners will realise already from whose tepid fingers it has been tapped into our lives. It's Toby Marstone's King, who begins every email with on. Here it is. Hello, gentlemen. As your favourite time approaches, Netflix have decided to remake a beloved classic of yours, The Haunting of Hill House. Have you seen it? I'm sure everyone would love your ghostliest of thoughts. Pause, because there's another very separate point afterwards.
Okay.
I think we should address this first. So,
well, you actually did watch some of it, didn't you?
Yeah, I think there's more to unpack, though, before we dive into that, because he's kind of assumed here, he starts with, as your favourite time approaches, which is an opening gambit for sure, but one that is perhaps a little presumptuous, because is it our favourite time, Halloween?
It's yours, isn't it?
Ours, though. For sure, it's mine.
I suppose...
But you, on air, said that Halloween could go fuck itself.
No, but the thing is that as the partnership, I enjoy Halloween a lot more. We do stuff more. It's more of a thing than it ever was.
We did
in my life before.
Ghost ritual, didn't we, this year?
We did.
And have you been being sort of followed around and stalked by
the mirrors have been only full of my own corpulent appearance. No ghosts.
We beat him in the poet.
I think so, yeah. And obviously there's just a slim chance. Maybe it's the case that we got the only flat where there were no poets who died.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Isn't there that thing, like, you're never more than 6 feet away from where a poet
dead
died?
poet?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I found that on the double-decker bus tour. But yes, The Haunting of Hill House remake now. The trailer for it is uniquely poor. because it does, like we talked about way back in the Film Des Am days. Do you remember what any of those episodes were called?
Unfilmed Des Am.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's very handy and good titling on all
Yeah.
that. Fill people in. What's our show?
There was also Dr. Marrow's Haunted Circle. Lest
I take back all of that titling praise we gave ourselves. But basically, your critique was that the remake just made it unambiguously
ghosts.
When
the book is almost entirely the opposite.
And the trailer for the Netflix series is very much ghosts.
Well, not just the trailer as well, like the blurb for it literally
when
says...
100 ghosts move into
It's basically
wacky...
that. They say something like, a family moves into a new home, and they face a chilling future together. With lots of ghosts. And you're like, what? No, with loads of ghosts, I think it was.
Does it literally say?
Yeah, with loads of ghosts is
That's
how
quite
it
bad.
how it ends. And I was like, well, get fucked.
But actually, I watched the first episode and it was very good. And I've heard only good things about it.
I heard good things about most, and then I saw people tweeting about how it got a little bit shite towards the end.
Interesting.
But, I'll probably give it a go at some point.
Yeah, the first episode I watched, I was in the dark at my grandmother's house. And all the lights were off, as the dark is often accompanied by. And it was late at night. I'd been driving all day, well, not me, but being driven, I suppose, more accurately, from London all the way up there, up the coast or wherever it is that she lives, the northwest. So I was quite tired, and I kept doing that thing of like just closing my eyes for what felt like a second, and then opening them again, and minutes had passed in this case. And so it meant that the first half hour, like very clear narrative structure, and then the remainder of it is now sort of internalized as a big fever dream of confusing ghosts. But it seemed very good. It was very atmospheric.
I suppose on some level, I'm just opposed to it as a television series.
Why? Snob. Is it snobbery?
Yeah, no, not as in I only think it should be a book. I think it could be a very good film. But I think it would be best as a kind of short Lynn Ramsey kind of film,
or Lin-Manuel, the other good Lin, the other very good Lin, because he hasn't directed
the OG
yet.
Dr. Marrow.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like I say, I'll probably give it a go.
From me, it's a scream. From Declan, it's a glean. By which I mean to be gleaned in future.
We should say that we have both watched the beginning of another spooky Netflix show, Sabrina the
Chilling
Haunted
Adventures
Witch.
of Sabrina the Ghost Girl.
Yeah.
It's mad.
It's very,
I'm
very
a big
odd,
fan of it so
but
far. Very
I like
strange.
it. Yes.
That's another... Is that a scream?
Yes, that's a scream.
Double scream.
In every way, yeah.
Really good,
It's
really good.
It's very, very fundamentally different from the show, from the original
No
show.
talking
if that's what you're looking for.
RoboCats, unfortunately.
That is a shame, because I did think that Salem was the best part. Why did he have that voice that was like this?
He was such
Some
a wise
sort
guy.
of 60s
It's quite
newscaster.
strange. Secondly, in Toby's email, and this is quite the transition, Toby likes to throw us the curveballs, even internally to the same piece of communication.
Wow.
Secondly, did you manage to see Chris O'Dowd's drunken performance on The Last Leg? Do you approve or disapprove? And if you could see one celebrity absolutely blitzed on a chat show, very British drunk metaphor, who would it be? Question mark.
Okay.
Toby, he signs off. So I can answer the first part because we literally just watched it. And Declan, he came into the room to record in a really sort of ebullient spirit. We just lost a great Harry Potter quiz. We've been having a great chat about all the different mice that there are in the new Nutcracker film, forming into a great big mouse king.
We were shipping Harry Potter characters.
Yes, all over the gaff. It was good fun. I taught Declan the verb ship, which he somehow never come across. I'm sure you'll Declan at shame.city. Tell him how out of touch and old he has become. And then we sat down to watch this because I knew we were going to be doing this mailbag episode. I knew we'd have to attend to all the points that our listeners, God bless them all, have raised. So I put it on. It was like a 7-minute video. We put it at double speed straight away because, frankly, who's got the time? And Declan wilted like an August poppy, just dehydrating in the devastating heat of Chris's, lack of humour?
Just not even exclusively his.
Okay.
I used to think the first couple series of The Last Leg were all right. They were just
never
enjoyable viewing.
Ever heard of it?
But, oh really?
Even once. What channel is it on?
Channel 4.
Oh, okay.
But it has become very, very tiresome whenever I've seen it of late. I just find that the whole show is made up of people who aren't quite funny enough on their own and have somehow managed to be cumulatively less funny than that. I really, really hate Josh Widdicombe.
Which one's he?
He's the curly-haired one.
Is he a regular?
Yes.
Okay.
I hate him. I think he's humourless. I think he's odious.
There's no need to hate
I hate
him.
his voice.
I think we should spread love now.
He has a sitcom and it's awful.
What's
and I
his
hate
show?
him because it's called Josh.
I've got a bit of news for you.
Right?
I was watching the Nutcracker and the 4 fucking sweet shops, or whatever it's called. I mean, confusing film, very disturbing.
Yeah.
And you'd never guess it's a Disney production. There I was, sitting in the cinema, thought I was safe, thought I was in a safe space. Jack Whitehall just appears in the film, dressed as a great big red soldier. Don't know. And he's going to be the lead in Jungle Cruise, the film they're making of the ride Jungle Cruise, presumably trying to cash in on the pirates concept, in which he's about to play the first openly gay character in any Disney franchise film.
Apart from LeFou, of course.
No, he's very closeted.
So yeah, I hate him.
Good.
Fundamentally. And I don't find him entertaining.
He wasn't on that episode, though.
He was, yeah.
Oh, was he? Okay.
I find Adam Hill fine, but I don't think he's a great host. And the other guy, the one I'm not.
Why are you going through everyone? I'm just asking about Chris. I don't need to know this.
Just think the show's a bit shit, is all. But Chris O'Dowd, I also am not a huge fan of.
Oh, you surprised me there because, you've got a lot of connections with Ireland. You're wearing green now.
Yeah.
You're an alcoholic.
We share much, it's true. I thought he was good in, what's it called? That Brendan Gleeson
the IT
film.
crowd.
No.
Oh, sorry, Bridesmaids.
No.
Okay.
Was he in, did he do Of Mice and Men on stage?
No,
I'm pretty sure,
not.
Please look that up,
Okay,
I'm certain.
I'll fact check.
I'm pretty sure he played Lenny.
That can't have been allowed.
I'm reasonably
Chris
sure.
O'Dowd, Lenny. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
With James Franco.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
That's very strange. It's a film from 2014.
Oh, it was a film?
Or they must have filmed the show.
Oh, right.
Wow. I mean, something about that strikes me as so profoundly offensive. But I can't put my finger on what.
And then he had the audacity to go on the last leg.
And he was drunk.
He was drunk.
Points out.
I've nothing really against people being drunk on television.
Ollie Reed handled it like a pro.
As long as they're not lecherous.
Yeah, that's often Louis Walsh.
Which is a problem. As long as they're not lecherous, as long as it's not overly performative, which is sadly almost always the case.
Yeah.
I don't mind it as long as it's just genuine, normal drunkenness. I don't like people who are just sat there slurring and a bit dull.
Weird. I love that show.
Or where they're just kind of like lolling about. If they're just loud and crazy like Jennifer Lawrence or something, I can't.
Does she get drunk on TV a lot? That seems like something we're going to get sued for.
I'm sure she has been once.
Just statistically.
Seems the
she's
sort.
Been on TV enough.
Yeah. But I've nothing. I don't disapprove of it in general.
However,
but I did disapprove of it here because it was not only entirely humorless and dull, but I got the feeling that he was inordinately amused.
I think he was very proud of his performance.
And I get the feeling as well, just from the title of the video and the reaction of the audience, that they all really enjoyed it and thought it was very good.
People will enjoy stuff though.
Yeah, but I don't want them to.
No, me neither. What I'm saying is they will regardless.
So the story itself was nothing.
He told a story about how his dog likes to
piss up against a Banksy.
Yeah.
And then it looked like there was going to be more to it. But then he just said, and I think that's art. And then everyone lost their minds.
Which, there's no problem with the punchline necessarily, because we use the idea of calling stupid things art all the time. And we're the 71st funniest podcast in the whole Democratic Republic of Congo. So it's clearly workable material, but the delivery was lacking.
It was
and
very,
also, I think
very
he's
poor.
doing that thing. He's like Joss Stoning. Is that what I mean? The singer, Joss Stone. Yeah. Who I didn't mean is Joss Whedon, and I thought I'd conflated them.
Okay.
Do you remember she went to America for about 3 minutes and came back and she was, "How's it going, lads? I'm Joss Stone from South London. What the fuck's going on over here?
Yeah,
Pass
he has a
me
very, very odd
Corvette."
accent, but it wasn't even American.
No,
It
but
was
it's
just
like
some kind of odd
hinterland.
distortion. So, disapproved specifically, but don't disapprove generally.
Fair assessment. Second email of the show is from Supercont Noah, which is not to imply that Toby is.
Oh, we didn't answer the second part, sorry.
Oh,
about who would
which
we like to see smashed. Having already seen Ollie Reed smashed several times.
And with him now being dead, of course.
Yeah.
Could be a logistical error.
It feels like, well, we wouldn't want to pick that again because we've already got the gold. Haven't we?
True.
So is there anyone...
The Queen?
Do you want to see Sondheim? Absolutely.
The man's voice is
shit-faced.
so low already that I think if he had even one drink, his vocal cords would relax to the point that only whales could hear him.
What about Brendan Gleeson? Do you think that would be a terrifying...
I think he'd be quite scary drunk.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
What are you looking to get? Do you want to be amused? Do
I
you
want it to be
frightened?
I want it to be like a massive break from decorum, which is why I thought the Queen was my first.
Yeah. But what do you think she's like drunk?
I think she's nuts. I think she'd come out with some really mad things.
Do you think it would be...
Fucking Diana! Glad I pushed her off the bridge.
Do you think
she died in a car crash.
openly racist?
No, I don't think she's racist, the Queen.
No, but do you think that she'd be like...
What,
you know,
just-
like old
just for
people,
jokes?
old people racist.
I think she's quite progressive, I like to imagine.
Yeah.
I think she reads Jezebel a lot. I think she spends a lot of time on Left Book, just ingesting kind of
The Queen's
political
a
memes.
closet tanky.
Yeah, it's been clear as day.
Yeah, maybe like George Alagaya.
Yeah, a newsreader.
That would be fun.
good because there's always like such an authority in the newsreaders on the BBC at least.
Yeah.
Hugh Edwards, someone like that.
Well,
Someone
now
who's
that
just
he's
so
an Instagram
stern.
thirst trap.
God, yeah, buff as you like.
Yeah.
Old Hugh Edwards went straight from BBC Northwest to our.
He genuinely looks like he's photoshopped his head onto some sort of
some
weird,
buff.
like, surfer dude's body. It's really odd.
I think a newsreader. I think Hugh Edwards would probably mash up. I bet he'd be quite fun as well.
I'm sure there's
Think
something
of someone
else.
Americans will know.
David Attenborough.
Oh God, yeah. That's
I
a good
bet he's
shout.
horrid.
Here we have a total prick looking at me drunk. Yeah, I think that would be mean.
Yeah, I think he'd be really
I think
horrible.
he'd hurt my feelings, but in a really like articulate way.
Do you think in that he'd zone in on you specifically?
I think he'd feel threatened by the masculinity I exude.
And the ad-libbing musical genius, of course.
Yes, that's what they're saying.
Because he's never been able to sing, really, has he?
He can barely speak. It's just a husky whisper voice.
Do you think he knows that he's the worst brother
of the two?
of the Attenboroughs, yeah.
It's not saying a lot though, is it? Because Richard was very great and David's pretty great.
Yeah, he's all right.
No, he's good. Leave him alone.
He's all right. He's fine.
What do you mean he's fine?
He's
Why
fine.
are you coming out as anti-David?
We
What's he
spoke
ever
about
done?
this really early on. Apparently, Brian, his dad's worked with him. Apparently, he's a total asshole.
Oh, really?
And he's like properly Malthusian, isn't he? Like he's like, well, it's all right that people in Africa are dying because
That's the way
there's just
of the world.
not enough resources. So
We've got them all over here.
It'll all balance out. Don't
I
worry.
keep all of the food in my pot.
And he was all like, we're doing this series about how all of the animals are dying and it's increasingly difficult for them to do it. But we don't want to push the climate change angle because we feel it puts people off. Even though the only time anyone ever cared about it was the time he threw those plastic bottles at a whale or whatever he did last year.
That clever
That
whale.
was odd.
Email number 2 comes to us from Supercont Noah. It's short, it's to the point. This is Noah's style. It has been since day dot. The subject line tells us really everything there is to know, and then he uses the body of the text to just kind of complement that, which I think is the kind of email practice that more people should internalise. It's certainly more efficient. It also allows you to have this weird kind of control over the narrative delivery of your content because you see the subject line and then you click and you get like the afterthought effect. Whereas normally you just read the whole email at once. This gives it like a 1-2 phase setup delivery.
It's innovative use of the email format, which is otherwise dead and horrible.
He's nailing it. Where is Bono? He asks. Anybody keeping tabs on him? Now, I didn't say anybody wrong. He says anybody as one word.
Okay.
Gut check. What was your reaction? This email came to us, by the way, on the 30th of October, day before Halloween. Good time to worry about Bono.
I'll be honest.
Should be.
I looked around. I just had a quick glance.
Where is he?
I did for a minute become really confused as to, where is Bono?
It's a good question.
Because it feels like a time that it would be rife for him to be all over the place.
Yeah, political turmoil, you mean.
Exactly.
So, I prepared some research.
Oh, okay.
On
having
exactly
a look.
this topic. I've had a search, had a look, had a scout.
Kept some tabs.
Pretty much exactly that. I've got some factual things to report, and then I've got some speculation. So let me give you the facts first. Bono attended Noel Gallagher's birthday party recently, where he gave a speech that was described as rabble-rousing. I don't have any more info than that.
Was that in a positive or negative way?
Someone said they'd follow him into battle after the speech. So
what are they fighting?
I don't know. Against
Music.
Liam Gallagher. That's where... Oh, no, the second fact is that he had some sort of health scare, I believe at the start of this year, and no one's quite sure what it is, but I'm going to come out and say that I have solved what it was.
Oh, okay.
Because he left the most overtly obvious clue as to what was going on in his statement.
His NHS medical records.
Well, no, in the article, all the articles that I found were like, mysterious health scare means Bono has to cancel, like, I don't think it was even a show, it was like a speaking engagement or something. And the quote...
And then his response was, I had tuberculosis.
And they're like, oh, what could it be? Also, where do you think he's from? Because
I
he's
just
Irish.
gave him that accent.
The quote was, so the first bit is like, there's a family history of this. I was arrested, there was an arrest. Quite clearly he had a heart attack. Like, that's just cardiac arrest he's gesturing towards. Because there's no health scare that's being arrested by the police. And if he's saying he was arrested, there was an arrest.
What if he went mental like that Coney 2012 guy and was running naked down the street and the police had to arrest him?
Well, and that runs in the family.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, like you say, he is Irish.
Sure.
So, they're funny people over there.
I wasn't satisfied by this, and you know me, I'm a great searcher for the truth.
You love it. You
no trench too deep.
Investigative journalism is the watchwative here. That's for
forte,
shame.
Absolutely.
As listeners of the Spooktacular will have heard.
Of course. Where better to investigatively journalise than
4chan?
Ask Reddit.
Ah.
You were close. I logged on to... I sort of embodied, if you will, one of my many online personas.
You put on one of your faces.
That's a neater way of saying it, for sure. Mm. And under the guise of an alt account that I won't be naming, I posted a question something like, but not necessarily, what the fuck do you think that Bono's up to?
Right.
It didn't skyrocket to the front page for some reason.
No, I was going to say I didn't see it myself, but
23 comments. So
okay.
there's plenty to work with. What I'm going to do is run through them.
Okay.
And I want you to consider each on its merits and, dare I say, its pitfalls. And then we're going to try and conclude based on, the whole wisdom of the crowd thing.
Yeah.
This like morphic resonance sense that if rats are taught a trick in Mexico, the same genus species of rat across the whole world will find it easier to learn that trick because there's some Jungian hive mind that they're tapping into. You're familiar with all of this, I'm sure, so we'll move on.
You're sounding really like the guy from Skyfall. Just chatting about rats.
Yeah, sure. The first two comments had not just a similar theme, but were in fact identical.
Okay.
Who cares? Question mark. There was not a lot to work with there. I didn't feel like they were really getting into the spirit of the question.
Although I do have to admit that I don't personally care where he is, as long as I can't see him.
Noah has asked you.
No, but
That's why a show he once referred to as his favourite podcast.
That's why I mean as in I in my own life don't.
Right.
In the show, when I got my show face on,
okay,
I want to know. But what I'm saying is I can empathise with these questioners because I wasn't until Noah asked, I wasn't worried.
I couldn't empathise with them, and I did report their comments as abusive hate speech.
And as a mod of that subreddit,
in charge
are you
of
able
the
to just
whole
delete
of the site, I've had them removed from the country.
Okay.
The next one is something that's a more troubling, innovative angle. And I think it trades on the fact that a lot of Americans call him Bono, which I've always found strictly upsetting in all circumstances. Dookie Candy's suggestion was Bonoing something / someone, ? To which I responded, could you elaborate?
You're going to the police?
They replied very, very disarmingly fast.
Okay.
With just doing whatever a Bono does, sort of like a woodchuck chucking. And I said, do you get the sense that it borders on being a criminal act? And they replied again, swiftly, I don't know. It's according to what sort of Bono-headed things are being done. Talk to me about that. What do you unpack from it? What can you learn not only about Bono's location, but about Dookie Candy's mental state and general aptitude for life?
Well, I'll be honest, I'm none the wiser as to where Bono is, or Bono, as they may be saying.
Yeah.
But what I am interested in is Dookie Candy.
Yes.
Is
familiar with his work.
Yeah, well, his earlier stuff mostly.
Fair.
Before he went electric. But I'm interested in their particular use of grammar.
Okay.
In which there is neither really a prescriptive or descriptive meaning of what to Bono something is.
Not by consensus that we both agreed on this is what that term refers to.
And not even really that there's a kind of first principles definition of what it is.
Yeah.
It changes from thing to thing, apparently.
But maybe that captures
But we don't get any guesses as to what any of those things could be.
And that ultimately could be the big point that Dookie Candy makes.
Maybe it's the basis
for mercurial.
Yeah, maybe it's the basis for a new language. You know how in French, if you're not sure, just say faire. If in German, if you're not sure, just say machen.
In English, if you're not sure, you just leave.
Yeah. In Dookie Candy.
Dookie Candian.
Dookie Candian.
Yeah.
Okay. Dookie Candywegian.
Yeah.
You just say, oh, yeah, no, Bono that.
Oh, like Smurfs. Smurf.
Yeah, exactly.
With their vague.
They really took that to a whole new level when they did the live action movies.
Anyway, another 2 suggestions for you here. Dave to pay. He's a cynic. We know him. He's quite a character.
Okay.
Being an ass, probably.
Oh, Dave!
That was actually really
Dave,
good.
And how did he spell ass? There was it the donkey.
What's good is that he's not only shown Bono, but he's kind of shown me, why are you even asking this cool cat?
That's interesting.
I felt pretty small.
It's good that he took time out of his day to do that.
Yeah.
Because it would have been easy, not caring, to just scroll past to a different, better, more relevant question to you. But
sorry. You to him, not just a better question.
Sorry, subjectively.
Yeah.
But no, he took the time to come and put you in your place.
8 Urfiat has another kind of out there angle. I guess maybe it's a probabilistic assertion because their response was, I'd guess he's on the toilet taking a shit.
Oh! Taking.
Unfortunate verb I'm not a fan of. Taking it sounds like
would
taking
you
it out.
Preferred if he just cut that out and just said just shitting?
Working on a.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In the process of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I mean, an interesting angle.
I feel it's
possibly statistically more accurate than anything we've had thus far.
But it doesn't cut to the core of what's he doing, because it's a question of but what's
it's
he
a bit too
really
functional,
doing?
really.
What's that about, that defecation? Is it about the sale of Vertigo going downhill?
But also, it doesn't tell us in a geographical sense where he is in the world, because it could be anywhere. There are toilets all over the gaff.
It doesn't even have to be a toilet, let me hit you with that. It could be in the woods.
Did
when
I
went to school
camp
in year 8.
Okay.
We're going on.
You want to finish the story?
It's not actually that bad. It's just upsetting to tell you about.
Okay.
But suffice it to say that the camp lasted a week and a bit. Mm-hmm. And on day 1, it was set in these beautiful bluebell woods.
Yeah.
That someone had left the school. No one who went is quite sure where it is. It's quite concerning. It's one of these weird novelistic memory comments, because whenever I've talked to people who were there, which is increasingly few people, not because they're dying
off, they're being picked off one by one.
in touch with that many people from year 8. none of us know where it is. We all have very different senses, as I guess you do when you're 12.
Yeah.
Of like how long we were on the coach for. Because I was like, oh, it was like,
in what direction?
It was like 6 hours or something. And then my friend was like, it was like 20 minutes. Like, what do you mean? It definitely wasn't either of those, but somewhere in between lies the truth. So in these Bluebell Woods, really like beautiful. It's the largest bit of like land inhabited by wild boars in the country.
Right, okay.
Which is quite menacing actually, because they are fairly violent.
Very.
And it was around the time that they'd have young to protect as well, just adding another flavour of danger to the camp. All of which is to say that we came upon a phantom fecal deposit that our science teacher bent down to, took a look and said, well, that's human. And then for the whole time we were there, it kept happening. Someone at that school camp was shitting purposefully in the woods, but taunting us with it because they'd start to leave like toilet roll and human accoutrement around the shit site. And God, it's really affected me to this day.
Given your lack of memory of it, are you at all concerned it was another of your faces?
No, none of my faces.
In a kind of primordial...
Absolutely not. My faces...
The id just urging
the
to break
build
free.
Away from the human imperative, not closer to a shitting, frothing mess.
And you assume that is a human imperative.
It's horrible, yeah,
feels
it is.
to me to be a
It was
truly...
It was someone who was... What was their impetus? They were trying to be with nature. There was a toilet.
Well, it feels like they were trying to fuck with... Possibly you in particular.
I don't think they were doing it on routes they knew people would be taking. I think it was just like not as far away as they thought. I'm just so confused about it. Like, why would anyone do that? And then what was worse was spending the whole rest of the week, because every morning we'd have to like meet for breakfast in this cabin, and it was like fucking, and then there were none. Because you're looking around, you're like, well, someone in this room is the phantom shitter, the phantom.
And have you thought of turning this into a creepy pasta?
I think it's
to rival the goat man.
Too creepy to be pasted. That's where I'll leave that. And I'm sorry that Fiat brought it up, because it's led me down a real rabbit hole of fright. Chaos Star 95, kind of scathing here again, probably not on board with my questioning. Whatever the fuck he feels like doing, bro. ... So kind of aggressive, I felt.
Yeah.
Not necessarily as helpful as you'd like.
No.
And not especially informative. So we'll downvote that and report it as racism. Consolidating his fortress in the African bush. Thoughts?
Does he actually have one?
It
strikes me as someone who probably might.
A fortress in the African bush.
Yeah.
You're saying Bono, you're going on record as claiming. Delane claims fortress in African bush has Bono.
No, I'm saying that it wouldn't surprise me. He seems like the sort who might.
Why? What do you mean by that? That's a very, very specific and niche thing to think about somewhere.
Because he strikes me as someone who, he's one of those people who's always preparing for a big war.
Right.
And he's thinking, I'm going to go somewhere where people don't necessarily know my face.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be safe. So
where
that's why the fortress. Yeah.
Don't know his name.
I think.
Appreciate that, you two.
I think it's possibly he assumes there's, I don't know, maybe a race war looming, like that little dwarf in Bruges.
Oh, the little dwarf.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember that.
And Bono has very clearly chosen his side
in the African bush. I think. Could be. However, his previous work, specifically in the Band-Aid and then Live Aid Feed the World thing, the lyric that he and Geldof presumably collaborated on, "There won't be snow in Africa this Christmas time," would lead me to believe that he doesn't quite know what Africa is and thinks that if we donate just another few pounds, it will be a white Christmas all over the Serengeti.
And they're going to love it. They've never seen that
all
before.
They've been hoping for. Yeah. Some more very harsh climate to live in.
More conditions conducive to agriculture.
Jakal says, sitting in a chair, picking at his toenails with a fork. Thoughts on that one? I had some thoughts. And they were thus. I said, that's an interesting idea. Do you think he has? and they didn't reply to this, so it's just something we're going to have to work with.
Okay.
Especially rigid nails that make the larger than usual implement a necessity, or does the pain of fork scratching under the nail bed thrill him to his very core? So I was just trying to get a sense of what kind of person Jacal pictured present day Bono as being. And like I say, there was no... Declan, you seem... We're still in the middle of the show, mate. He's gone to the door. That's bizarre behaviour. And he's left the whole room. So, we didn't get an answer on that. It looks like it's going to be a solo show from here on out. So I'll just read you the other. It was kind of the last one we had. Just want to update you as well that this thread's had 100 and something views now. So it's pretty good. Going pretty well. Dom ist Krieg. If Declan was here, he'd probably give us a German translation for that. But like I say, he has left the room. He said, staring in a mirror, pointing at himself and trying to convince himself that he's still got it, that he's still, and then this is in caps, the man. So what I guess they're gesturing towards is a fundamental arrogance inherent to Bono's persona, which, anyone who flew over, I think it was his hat or his glasses, by first class jet to one of his gigs, whilst also caring about climate change and poverty and that, he must think quite highly of himself, is all I'm saying. And Declan's back. We had to pause for, honestly, days in that intervening period. He walked right out and didn't stop until he was neck deep in the Thames. And I had to lasso a big, those life preservers right over his head, which was thankfully quite an easy
Thousands
target.
of those get stolen every day.
Do they? By
Youths.
Oh, okay.
By youths.
What for? What are they using it for?
They just throw them in the sea.
It's a fashion
But not when there's someone drowning.
But maybe it's preemptive strike. They're
Quick! Just
if you're
in
going to
case.
drown in this small circle.
Yeah.
I was just talking to the listeners about Dom ist Krieg's post, which was that he was staring in a mirror, pointing at himself and trying to convince himself that he's still got it, that he's still the man. Now, I think this one is probably the most accurate. It's also a person who goes on to give me 2 more bits of detail.
Is that a reference to the Bruce Willis cameo in Friends?
I don't know, is it?
Where he's like in the mirror, like, you're the man.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
I guess that's a kind of tropey thing. I don't know if it's a direct quote. It could be.
But it strikes me as sort of a similar vibe.
I said, thank you for painting that picture, very believable. What do you think he's wearing? To which he replied, a cowboy hat, a black leather jacket, big shades, jeans, cowboy boots. He does it a few times. Different angles of standing, 1 finger, 2. Finger guns, maybe.
Ooh.
Fuck! Bono, get it together! He quietly repeats, I am the universe. I am Alpha. I am Omega. Just like the self-help program that he secretly keeps on his phone told him to. He believes it. He has to. Doesn't he? Yes, damn it! He takes a sip of whiskey and silently worries about losing his hair.
Do you think that self-help program was automatically downloaded to his phone?
Like the... No, that's a good U2 joke. U2 and iTunes humour, where those two intersect.
There's
Barrel
one
laughs to be
listener
had.
who's fucking hyped.
I replied, wow, I'm there. I bet he smells of stale cologne. And this guy replied, he's really like getting into it. Like if we were together, this would be like a moment of sitting really close, like energy, like those moments in great workshopping like we've had.
Yeah.
Where there are no bad ideas. And we're just bouncing around the marketplace.
We've come up with some world-changing ideas.
Really, really good. And cigars. He smokes Havana, I imagine. Only the finest things in life for Bono. He's the kind of guy who doesn't play his own music, but he plays other artists' covers of his songs and sneers at their inferior quality.
Definitely.
What a prick. That's great.
That's a great image.
So yeah, that's basically all the knowledge that the internet has of Bono's location. I'm sorry we couldn't... I reached out to his people.
Yeah.
He wasn't forthcoming. Could be dead. Like David Miscavige's
But
wife.
at least a diverse... a widespread view of opinion. Though I think what we can say, we can't answer the question, where is Bono?
No.
But we can answer the question, how is Bono?
And
it's tragic.
Unwell, to say the least. Final email for the day, and then we're going to conclude with some sort of cry for help, I suppose. A plea for support.
If you hadn't got that theme already.
This is from Toby as well. On the ceaseless march of time, sent a week ago today. Hello, Declan and Isaac, comma. In episode 116, you'll remember it, guys. What was it called, Declan?
Episode 116.
Yeah, go
not
on.
a clue.
You disappoint me on a very fundamental and profound level.
Okay.
In episode 116, Declan mentioned how, I don't remember what it was called, how he's a big supporter of the individual being able to
it was
make
Pharmacy Friends.
pharmacy freaks. Why did we call it friends?
Friends, I think.
To the individual being able to make their own choices about their life, brackets, or something to that end. I was half paying attention. Nice. Right as I was listening to this classic Declan rant, a CDR, that was my parenthesis.
Yeah.
Toby can't take credit for that. Okay. I was reading this very article. I would love your fresh from the oven hot take on this. Also, the Thought Park episode was too long. Stop it. Regards, Toby.
That's a fair criticism.
God, it was very long.
I listened to 50 minutes.
On 2. I normally listen at 2.7. I had to bump it up to 2.9 just to get through it. It was like listening to a mouse choir. Like that. So this is... I hope no one knows what is a reference to in our history.
Overdraft Street.
Very, very good episode. What compelled us to do a rap at the beginning of that episode?
We were doing, it was our Patreon song.
Yes.
And you were like,
God,
let's do a rap. And then
song?
it turned into a 3-hour endeavour.
It went on for a while.
That was worth at least 4 minutes of work.
Generous. Dutchman, this is The Guardian reporting.
Oh, yes, I remember this.
69, starts legal fight to identify as 20 years younger. I'm not going to read the whole thing, I'm going to give you the gist. He's a 69-year-old Dutch, quote,
pervert,
positivity guru, so yeah, who says he does not feel his age, and he's started a battle to make himself legally 20 years younger on the grounds that he's been discriminated against on a dating app. He said he doesn't feel comfortable with his date of birth, and he's compared, and this is important, his wish to alter it to people who identified as, you've guessed it, transgender.
Oh,
and it's at this point that you might think, I'm going to write Emil Rattleband off as a bigot.
Okay.
And you'd be right to do so,
you
but
would,
we're going to
I've seen,
continue reading. He basically asked for his date of birth to be changed from 1949 to 69. He says, when I'm 69, I'm limited. If I'm 59, I can buy a new house, drive a different car, which I don't think there's a rule against you driving a different car. I can take up more work. When I'm on Tinder and it says I'm 69, which is the saddest start to a sentence I ever met, I don't get an answer. When I'm 49, with the face I have, I'll be in a luxurious position. Just have a little peek and confirm or deny that he looks like a rectangle came to life in the worst way.
He looks like...
Ron Perlman's ugly cousin?
No, I was going to say, he looks like Benicio del Toro playing someone with jaundice.
And very bad facial hair choices. So basically...
God, Benicio's getting a lot of free publicity on this podcast. We should probably get in touch.
It's not free. He's sluck us a sneaky little 10, a 10 piece. He said, buy yourself something pretty. Doctors had told him his body was that of a 45-year-old man, he argued. He described himself as, quote, a young god.
A young god?
Yeah.
At 49?
The judge...
Sorry, 69.
Yeah. The judge in his case seems to have gone for a weird kind of like metaphysical approach to disproving the possibility of like aging backwards. He says, I agree with you. A lot of years ago, we thought that was impossible, referring to changing your gender in law.
Right.
But when he asked the applicant how his parents would feel about 20 years of his life being wiped off the records. For whom then did your parents care? Who was that little boy? The judge asked. Which is a really weird, but quite interesting, like appeal to a very simple common sense. Like, well, what do you think that 20 years was? Like, where did it go? You can't just get rid of it.
I like the idea that imagine if they said to him, you can, but you have to tell us which specific days across your 69 years you want gone. So he's got like go back through the diary and find like what were a bunch of dud days.
Yeah, days when he looked particularly rectangular.
Because if he accidentally like deletes a day he went to the doctors and they found something, that's it. The state just kills him.
Oh,
I saw a lot of this, and I saw a lot of fallout on Twitter because
of how much everyone agreed there was.
Because of a lot of transsexual and transgender people were being asked to come on the radio to debase themselves by even having to justify why this fucking lunatic pervert was anything to do with their life choices. Wow. I mean, in the most like to be kind to him and to give it even the smallest bit of attention. to say specifically that it's similar to transgender issues seems to conveniently overlook the much confirmed, much agreed upon, even by both sides of the debate, idea that gender as an idea is very much, as the saying goes, a social construct.
Yeah.
They are ideas that we made up
just
and decided.
Just like time and years and that. And aging. Like, you can't look at the body of a 69-year-old and be like, that's an old body compared to
especially if it's a young 45-year-old God's body.
Oh God, yeah.
But just this, the ceaseless marching of time isn't for us humans at this measly speed that we can achieve in any way legally relative, and it's not something that you can feel like. You can't be like, oh, I don't feel like I was born in 1949. In a very different sense, you can feel as though your personality, that your role in society, that your place and where you feel comfortable in society is different to that gender which you were assigned, as it were, at birth.
So hang on, let me. I don't know if you mean, and I expect probably not, because you're kind of optimistic, a people pleaser.
Okay, yeah.
It sounds like, and one could argue that what you've just said suggests that he's trying to kind of make light of trans issues in a mean-spirited way.
I'm saying that it's a double whammy in which he is attempting to undermine the trans movement whilst fucking young people.
Where young means 49 and
under. Exactly. Yeah. It's madness. It shows a real transphobic agenda that this was given such enormous media attention that it would be very easy to just go, well, he's a fucking loon. Madman
goes to court again.
Wow, it's, hang on a minute, it's a completely different in every single sense to even the most transphobic person cannot deny that time
and gender
are
different qualitative experiences.
But no, instead, trans people are invited on the radio to defend themselves against a barrage of, but what about this?
Yeah. It's interesting what I like about, because that was The Guardian, our left-leaning comrades.
Very, very good.
But what I like is that as a media platform, you get to say, look, we're just reporting. We're just
Imagine if The
there.
Guardian didn't have Gary Young. Why would anyone ever have picked it up? In the course of this, the discussion over this, Gary Young's article about identity politics was shared, which I would hugely recommend to all of our
Should we link
listeners.
it in our show notes?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
because it's, as he says, should be retired as a term because it completely fails to encapsulate anything.
Yeah.
It is whatever the person speaking wants it to mean.
Yeah.
If they're right-wing and bigoted, it means a form of self-indulgent ideology that's supposed to trump any kind of rationality as they define it. And if it's used by any kind of ethnic or sexual minority in any sense, then it is to mean that a form of self-identification and a march against their own oppression. And it doesn't need to exist because politics is inherently about identity, because it's literally about the management of who people are and what they do. I would also, on this note, like to recommend ContraPoint's latest video, which was very good.
Link that as well.
Yes, and does a very good job of breaking down how ludicrous, stupid, and simply wrong the pronouns debate is. Which,
what's
by extension,
particularly good is that the person who she's using as the nemesis, Ben Shapiro, of this is the opinion I'll be attacking, actually argues entirely against himself.
Yeah.
Which really makes her job a lot easier.
Very, very useful.
It's very satisfying to watch him completely undermine his whole point.
Yeah. But she also makes the very good point that I think is not necessarily here in this debate over this man's age. I'm loath to call it a debate, but this discussion over this lunatic pervert wanting to change his age. But how do I explain to my child
angle
of like, oh, well, what am I supposed to say to my kid? As if kids are not the most inherently receptive to these sorts of new ideas.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's really, I think it masks a very obvious and blatant, not concern for children, but more unwillingness to educate themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
And therefore saying, well, it's, I understand it all, but how am I supposed to explain it to a kid? Read a fucking book.
My pal Liz, off of BBC's
Yes.
Silent Witness and the show I was in, she was asked to do CBeebies, which is our like children's programming. Is there even anything like an equivalent of that in America? Nothing I'm aware of.
Not that I know of.
It's like a channel that's entirely kids shows, but not like Disney Channel.
No.
Like it's actually good. I think CBeebies is possibly the last great bastion of the BBC.
Yeah, I think
it's like the last really good thing they're doing.
That and Louis Theroux, and otherwise
That's
don't bother.
Sad as hell to think. But they've, for as long as I've been aware, like been able to reflect on their output, they've always championed difference and having like people with visible disabilities, people who are of different races and sexual identities, or like just as part of the normal landscape of programming. Not even in the context of like, today we'll be learning about this lady in a wheelchair.
No,
it's just she's
they have like a one-armed presenter.
Just like,
CBeebies.
get this, in real life.
In real life,
It's
where sometimes you go outside and there people are who don't look exactly like you.
Crazy time we live in. But yeah, Liz is visibly disabled, and she was asked to they do this like bedtime story, their last thing.
Yeah.
And you want to go and have a little search on Twitter sometime. I don't know if it's even, because it was a while ago now, it was a few years, the first time it aired, but the amount of people who were like talking about like how I'm supposed to explain what this is to my child. It's like, well, what do you mean? It's primetime BBC star Liz Carr, the actress.
It's a literal person reading a story.
It's crazy. Like,
it is mad that people can't.
It's so mean-spirited as well to hide behind your own child as like a baby
exactly.
shield. Like, oh, they'll never get it.
The number of children who cared about that was nil.
Literally none.
Literally none. And it's amazing that diversity as just a fact of the programming, just literally a feature of the background, as it were, is so easily accomplished and has been for ages. Like, for as long as, like, we're going back now to the 90s, not exactly the most woke of decades, but there were, when I was watching kids' TV programs, there were people of all different races on.
There's a
Tracy
big
Beaker.
red dog.
There's that huge red dog, like kids' TV shows, like something like Smile on Sundays and whatnot, always had a more diverse range of hosts than any primetime BBC show.
I think people put a lot more thought into children's TV good children's TV than anything else.
Yeah. And it's just mad that can be a feature of that, but it's just not like anywhere really in adult program. The only place that I see it as just a fact is in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where obviously there are like specific episodes or plots that are based around the relative diversity of the cast. But as people like always point out, it's a TV show set in New York, where there are 2 black police officers, there are 2 Latina police officers, there are a couple of white police officers, there's a gay black chief, there's as in police chief, there's a bisexual Hispanic police detective, and that's just it. Like, it's just normal.
You're saying it's not all about that. Not every episode has to be about every facet of
it's just
difference.
that they just, look, there happen to be people who look different, and they're
that must annoy the fuck out of some people.
Really, really just troubles a lot of people to see that kind of colour spectrum on their television.
Dreadful. So there we go. That's our response to, honestly, I've forgotten what we were even talking about. That horrid Dutch bigot.
Oh, yeah. What a cunt.
Last thing, this is going to be quick because I don't want to keep you for too long. You've got busy lives. You're going to be busy leaving us a 5-star review at shame.city/review.
Or reviews.
Or reviews. The last one is not one email in particular. It's a trend that I've been noticing. Declan alluded earlier to the fact that there's been a downward trend in our
I was going to say, it seems weird that the downward trend in listenership has
which to be fair,
coincided.
also itself coincides with a downward ticking output. We've missed more episodes in the last few months than before.
Yeah.
And also I think as stats improve, it kind of narrows down, gets rid of the fluff. But what has gone massively up,
noticeably and unarguably,
is what I'm going to go out on a limb and call bald-faced threats in our inbox. We've been the recipient
undisguised,
of some crime.
Unabashed.
Digital letter bombs.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. Talk to us about how this began.
Well, we've had this thought monster who's always been a feature of
Thorn in
the
our
show
side.
for as long as I can. A thought.
I know, I thought that as well, but then I thought better of it. But thanks for dragging
wrongly,
me
I
back
think.
down.
But and recently, they really seem to have stepped up their efforts.
Yeah.
There's someone called the TM Spider has been haunting us.
Well, we first became
elsewhere.
aware. We've told Heatsec story on this show.
Yeah,
before,
I think
for
so.
sure. Heatsec is the sort of prank we pulled on our friend at university to make him think that everyone on the internet thought he was involved in this big conspiracy.
He was leading.
Yeah, leading Heatsec.
An ambiguously racist sector called Heatsec.
/ cyber criminal outlet.
Yeah. Stealing people's accounts.
Yeah.
Back tracing.
But that had been dormant for
Overrouting.
years, right? And I was just at work. And then this group message came up. We haven't spoken to this guy in literal years. And it was a message on my phone from me, Declan, and this guy who we'll call Bros. And then...
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come out. It's Ross. You got me, guys. It's a fair cop. And he said something like, look, it was funny. It wasn't funny the first time. You need to cut it out. Like, why are you starting this again? I was like, Bros. I don't know what the fuck
Who are
you're on
you?
about.
Oh, Ross.
Oh, why are you hiding behind this watertight alias? I was confused, bemused, and amused by the concept because there was indignation there, and that's what I thrive on. But he went on to send us screenshots of Reddit chat, which honestly no one uses in the whole world.
Not at all.
In which an account called TM Spider, look it up. I don't know if we've activated some kind of like dead man switch by
Probably,
naming it.
yeah. That's it.
Had been talking to him about Heatsec and also asking specific questions about where you were.
Yeah.
Which seemed quite directly threatening.
Yeah, I'm going to say so.
He thought it was us. We can confirm it wasn't.
It simply was not.
Since then, the Thought Monster has revealed itself to be TM Spider. TM, Thought Monster.
Now with a Twitter account.
Now with a Twitter account. It follows us. It says it lives in our apartment or something.
Yeah.
Or no, nearby or something.
Yeah.
Something creepy, like the last place you'd look or behind you, something like that. It uses our website in its bio. Creepy picture. They've set up an email address at reborn.net, which can only imply some kind of occult crime is
And
imminent.
a definite
Joe
sacrifice of
DeMambro
us.
is on the cards. It's going to be
Your name
huge.
isn't Joe DeMambro as well, is it? Or your
That baby. We've also had, and I've not been reading them out because they're frankly unintelligible, a series of what I'm going to assume are kind of puzzles. But normally I would be chomping at the bit, Declan's favourite phrase, to engage with a riddle. I love an online riddle. I've spent many a day involved in them. But these ones, I can only assume when I unscramble them, and I would, are going to say something like, Isaac, I've got your dad in a headlock, gonna cut his face off.
in a while, hurry up,
Unless
come
you
here.
pay me $1 million. Like, what I'm saying is, I
Like
don't
if you
have the
checked
motivation.
your dad's Facebook, he's just got like a selfie of him in a headlock, like please help, tag at Isaac BD.
I don't have the motivation to solve them because I know it is only going to be bad for me.
Yeah.
It's like solving.
Well, and also there's so little to work with.
Oh no, I think they've increased in how much traction there is.
I haven't opened them. I can't bear to.
I can't stop doing it. But they're like, there's coordinates. There's some like Greek-looking alphabet. There's some ciphers.
But the most recent was
now this was from a whole other account. But we can only hope that there aren't multiple entities who have it in for
working
us.
together, some kind of cabal.
This is from Watch This Space at protonmail.com. Now, ProtonMail, for those who don't know, is a very heavily encrypted webmail service that is recommended by whistleblowers. I used to use it when I worked on the board of directors for a digital rights charity, where you had to use it. That was how I found out about it. It's mandated use for like crypto people. Serious stuff. Anyone can open an account, but it's weird that you would, unless you had a real need to. Watch this space was the subject line, with spaces between each letter, just to make it, I guess, more either friendly or creepy, you decide.
Yeah.
And within it were 6 YouTube links ending with the fully spaced sentiment with compliments. Talk to us about the YouTube links.
Well, I opened them up. I received this email while I was at work, screenshotted it, sent it to Isaac with a suitably suicidal message.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a chance to look at them. When I got home, I opened them up on my laptop, and for some reason it opened them in reverse order. But I was looking instantly for some kind of clue across them.
Yeah.
And having looked both ways, realised that the first word of each video
Title.
spelt out the sentence.
The optimistic sentence.
It is coming to an end.
Where we can only assume is the show.
I don't know whether it was just coincidence or whether it's important, but both it and end were capitalised fully.
Oh, good.
It is coming to an end.
Doesn't make it more creepy, for sure. So
I suppose my question to the listenership, which does go out to those sending these emails as well. I mean, I assume they listen.
If not, then that's even more worrying.
It goes out to them, I suppose, and I'd like them to show their cowardly faces. But sorry, fuck. But more specifically to the broader listenership, the non-threatening listenership, and it's why have you done this? Like, what is it about the show that encourages or has encouraged this?
Vibes are we sending out?
What could be 3 different people, 1 long-term, 2 more recently, this kind of vibe that we want, not just hate mail.
Well, it's actually not hateful. It was with compliments. But that's nice, but gently threatening.
But very, very threatening.
Like the compliments of a man who approaches you with his hand in his pocket and presses that pocketed hand straight into your gut.
Yeah, people can't see what you're doing, and
they don't need to. It's a very clear image.
Sounds a bit like you're saying he's poking you in the arse with his cock. Yeah.
No, I meant he had a gun.
His coat.
It's a very clear gangster image. Everyone would have been on board with.
It is when you're acting it out.
Through
your
the
particular
words,
description
through the dialogue
was
words.
particularly.
So yeah, we're curious to know why are you doing that to us? B,
can anyone put us up for a couple of months at a secret location?
Got a safe house going. And C, do you have our backs when the Great War comes? Because if it's coming to an end, I can only assume it's going to be not some kind of damp squib of an end.
Yeah.
But blazing glory.
I hope our patrons know that by being patrons, they have signed up to be on our side.
Specifically refers to the war footing.
The war clause.
So, it's a bit of a shame, really.
I
hesitate to even ask for more emails.
As ever, it's the waiting that's the worst bit, you know. Not
so you're asking for TM Spider.
If death is going to come, let it come swiftly. Do it for
Declan. I'm more up for the kind of challenge because I have a lot of confidence in my ability to ultimately outsmart.
Oh, okay.
But I guess that's a kind of hubris that could put me in a reverse bear trap.
It's just you versus Proton Mail. We'll see who wins, huh?
Big times. Look, this has been a mailbag episode.
This has been a heavily edited episode.
God, it's going to be very, very short. That's for sure. Let's do some plugs, but there is a kind of pre-caveat, which is all these communicative methods we're throwing out, don't be throwing us threats down them, or will only serve to cut them off. Here's a new one for you. I want you to go to shame.city/Discord.
We're getting the Discord going.
I think we should start
I'm on board.
Plugging it more.
I've been thinking this.
Because, I always have Discord open and we're always sending each other stupid links. We could just pop them in there. Even if only one other person joins, it'll be a real addition to your life to just get involved in the Shame City discourse.
Yeah.
The dialectic that exists between us.
All of the screenshots.
Yeah,
all of the crazy links.
Today I sent you the Harley Quinn Build-A-Bear freak show.
And I still haven't looked at it.
It's really upsetting. You're going to love it. So shame.city/Discord is the place. Discord is just a chat app and it's where the party keeps going 24/7, where 24/7 means as long as one of us is awake.
Yep.
Which honestly is quite often the case. We sort of exist at different ends of the day cycle. What else do we have?
We got a Twitter. That's a Shamecast. Lots of stuff going out there.
Yeah, there's some Fetus FM. Some good tweets.
If you want to unfollow, feel free.
No, don't be doing that.
That's a Shamecast for the show. At Isaac BD for Isaac and at DE Delane for myself. Mm-hmm. You can send us an email.
Yeah.
TAS at
check yourself before submitting. Just be like, do I want to scare these nice boys?
Or potentially via the contact form on the website, shame.city/contact. If you would like to join the Shame Army, then...
Sharmy. No, I take it back.
Thank you, so I don't have to. Then patreon.com/shamecity is the place to go if you have but $2 to spare.
A month, that is. That's what's that? We do 8 episodes a month for $2. Sure. That's 1 cent an episode.
That's mad.
Don't check the maths. Shame.city/reviews. We'd like some reviews before the end of the year. If we don't get a new review before the end of the year, I'm cancelling the show. That's just it. That's my ultimatum to you.
Okay.
And I'm not one to not follow through on my word, which is a convoluted way of saying the show's over.
Okay.
It's as good as done.
All right.
Get reviewing. Okay. 5 stars only, please. We've got fragile egos built up under all these masks that we wear just to face another day.
Not hugely a fan of being complicit in this face mask dynamic you've created for yourself.
Tough, isn't it? You're on board now.
Oh, well.
Until episode 100 and the next one, I've been Isaac. You've been many-faced Janus Delane, king of the Double Boys. And we'll see you very, very soon.
Bye, guys.
The bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you.